Welcome to the show. Welcome to 2025, everybody. And let's start it off with Notre Dame winning college football playoff game. For those of you who aren't familiar, though I am not Catholic, I am a huge Notre Dame fan. And so finally getting over that hump, beating an SEC team in a college playoff is it's a thing of beauty. Thing of beauty. But that aside, I'm really excited to start off 2025 with you guys, and couldn't have better expectations for how we're going to do things this year. Though to manage expectations at the same time, I don't plan on doing anything like special with making this making this stream any more presentable than it is. But some of the things that we're going to be talking about that we should be getting to in the Bible, I'm very excited, looking forward to sharing this with you guys as we go through this year. So we have been going through the last few years. Can't believe I'm still doing this after 2021. The end of 2021 is when I started. So get it started the way it should be. How are you all doing? My name is Stuart Davis, a flawed man of God, a humble parishioner at a small church just outside of Richmond, Virginia. Not a pastor, not a biblical scholar. I haven't been to seminary. I'm not trying to get you to join my church or donate to any special cause. What I'm here to do is talk about God, talk about Jesus, talk about the Holy Spirit, talk about the Bible, talk about Christianity, talk about a wide variety of different topics, issues, and current events, and give you my perspective on them, one that I think is reflective of your average Christian guy. I've been a Christian all my life, 42 years, non-denominational Protestant. I don't subscribe to any particular doctrine or denomination. I'm just in the Word daily, trying to do it better each and every day. Sometimes I'll get it right. Often I'll get it wrong. But no matter what, if you're watching the stream, if you are hearing my voice, you can count on getting my honest takes on whatever it is that we're discussing. So if you are new to Christianity, if you are somebody who is, on the cusp of pursuing this faith, if you want to, but you're apprehensive about it, self-conscious about it, you're nervous about it, it's a big step. Big step. Some folks can jump in head first into this stuff, and it doesn't affect them. Right? They're not nervous about it. They just whole hog. But I can understand if you're just trying to dip your toes in, because it's a leap of faith. There's no denying that. But I want to motivate you. I want to encourage you to keep it up. All right, keep growing that faith, keep growing that trust, and don't let the actions of people get in the way of you following God. We are flawed. Title of the show, right? We are flawed people. We're going to make mistakes. We're going to misrepresent. We're going to fall into sin. And we see this all over the place. Believers and unbelievers. But whether we believe or not has no bearing on what the truth is. The truth is. So don't let other folks determine for you what you are going to believe in. Just heed the encouragement. If you're obediently, honestly, lovingly, diligently trying to pursue Christ, you're on the right path. And I'm rooting for you and praying for you. The chat, the viewers should be rooting and praying for you. All of Christendom should be rooting and praying for you. And that's a lot. The heavenly host is rooting for you, because they want that heavenly host to get one more soul larger. It's a win. It's a win. So tune in and stick around and learn with us. We're happy to have you. If you are already a Christian and you just enjoy Christian topics and discussions, welcome as well. We run this very similar to a Wednesday night study group or a Sunday school. It's all about small group. We have a great group of folks who tune in and night out. Many of them are in the chat and help us out, and that's where I want everybody to be, in the chat. If you can't make it, I understand, but that's my encouragement, in the chat, because you're part of this show too. I want to hear from y'all too. I just put my mug on the camera to give you guys some comic relief. But that doesn't mean y'all don't have a say in this. I want to hear from you. It's very relaxed, very, very informal, very layperson. We're not professionals here. So don't be afraid. Just share your opinion, right? Tell me what you agree with or disagree with. Tell me what you think is right, where you think I'm right, where you think I'm wrong. What unique experience, perspective, insights do you have that maybe we haven't discussed so far? Or maybe you just want to add on to something somebody else said and ask questions. I'm not just saying I'm going to have the answer to them, but we can talk about the question. Maybe point you in the right direction. Maybe one of these folks in the chat can. And with that said, let's get the first episode of 2025 off and running. I was going to have a special guest that has been postponed until later. So it's just us tonight. And but we are looking forward to that guest being on here and debuting on the show. Mordred Kane, first in the chat. It's deadlier, or sorry, not deadlier, deader than an orthodox sense of humor in here. Let's not go full orthodox. Let's call it online ortho bro. Because yeah. It wasn't the Orthodox I've seen arguing today. It's been Lutherans, Reformed, and Catholics arguing about two different topics between each other. That's what I've seen a lot of, but Ortho Bro's kind of silent on it. Nobody has summoned them to the debate, I guess. Notre Dame won on a fluke. Notre Dame won because they executed. And this is coming from a lifelong Notre Dame fan. One of the things that I've always struggled with as a Notre Dame fan is the fact that we can make a bunch of good plays, in a game, and then completely lose the plot the rest of the game. It has hurt us so many times. This is the first meaningful game against a respected opponent where I saw us really execute for the most part. Now, penalties notwithstanding, there were some missed calls on both sides too. And Georgia, that drop pass that probably was a touchdown was a big killer. But and I'm still saying I still believe that Notre Dame is a flawed team because while our quarterback can run, he's not that great on the passing side. You can't, when he gets pass happy, that's when he throws interceptions, and I think they do a good job play calling around that. Georgia did a good job stopping the run outside of Riley Leonard tonight, but they were letting, because they had a lot to account for. This is, as we are a complete team minus the quarterback being able to pass, which is a big flaw. But man, that defense is good. Defense is good. I'm proud of them. I'm glad that they've gotten as far as they have. We don't see overwhelming opponents. Ohio State looks really good right now, but they've also looked really bad in other games. When they played Penn State, they looked bad. When they played Michigan, they looked really bad. So you just don't know what Ohio State's going to show up. So we'll see which team comes between them and Texas. I think the most exciting game was the Arizona State Texas game. Mr. Scadaboo was fun to watch. Was very fun to watch. And I was really hoping they were going to pull off an upset. And he still won the MVP. Still won the MVP. But and yeah, Texas won. Failure call targeting. I do think that was a big critical penalty there, where I don't see how they don't call that. Just not to say that it was worth. I don't think it was intentional. I think the ball had gotten tipped. He's trying to make a play and get to the ball, so he's running full speed. It's hard to stop. But you see that flag thrown in other games, right? And it was definitely helmet to helmet, and the receiver definitely was defenseless. It's just the way the game is played. So I was very shocked that he didn't call that a hit on a defenseless receiver, even though the ball had been tipped. Don't know what to tell you. But again, happy that we pulled off the win. That kick return, it's just a fun game to watch, and just looking forward to more games. So yeah, whew. Matt Felty is here too. Happy New Year to all you guys. To the faith that is. Yes. Comic relief. Comic maybe relief. Not so much. Well, I guess relief, like many things, is where you find it. Thad's making dinner. Getting some of the usual crew up in here. Veritax saying, so apparently Christian nationalism allows Jewish rabbis, Catholic priests, and Hindus to participate in discussions at conferences, according to X today. I haven't seen that part of Twitter. But I don't think that's what Christian nationalism actually allows. I could be wrong. Or I don't know. It's such an amalgamation, these trying to follow what Christian nationalism. It's kind of like, if you guys remember during Trump's first term, the alt-right, whenever anybody trying to define what the alt-right was, it was different. Same thing with Christian nationalism. You ask somebody, they're going to have a completely different answer from another half dozen people you ask. Trying to say it's because it wasn't crowned to the helmet, but it was clearly this was a head. It was close enough to be crown of the helmet that I think it was legitimate. But hey, Texas got they went into overtime. Texas got their act together, and they let Texas score on two pretty impressive. I thought blitzing on the fourth down, or the third down or fourth down in the first overtime, was correct. Was that the first overtime, or was that the tie of the game? I can't remember. I thought that blitz that ended up turning into a touchdown was the right call. Offensive line just picked it up. Sometimes you're not the best on the field, and it only matters on a couple of plays sometimes. I don't know. All right. So that's the small talk. On the football side, hopefully you guys had a good New Year's and good break between Christmas and New Year's. I got run off the road New Year's Eve. Almost run off the road by a tractor trailer. This is the second time on New Year's Eve I have had a vehicle rub its tire against my quarter panel. Happened 18 years ago, 17 years ago, on my Mustang. Last night, or New Year's Eve, I was riding down. It was raining. You got a tractor trailer driving down in the left-hand lane. Tractor trailer driving in the left-hand lane where he's not supposed to be. We're not anywhere near a junction. He's not passing anybody either. He's not supposed to pass in the passing lane anyway. So I'm going to pass him because I'm tired of having the rain from his trailer all behind me, and he's not going the speed limit either. So go to pass him. And as I'm passing the tractor, I see the fender turn signal light turn on. I'm like, okay, he's getting ready to change lanes. And once I pass him, he's going to get over. He's just signaling the folks behind me. But then that marker light is right here. And I'm like, oh, he's changing lanes now. Honk on the horn, can't move over. And then all of a sudden I feel my car go whoop. He bumps right into it. And I go off a little bit, and then all-wheel drive, and me acting or keeping level-headed, correct the car, and able to veer off. And he didn't stop. Didn't stop at all. I flashed my lights at him. I honked my horn. It's I just glad I was okay. Got his license plate, but it was only for the trailer. Should have gotten the DOT number. Guys, get the DOT. If you've got an issue with the tractor trailer, okay, on the interstate, get the DOT number and get the truck number and get whatever's written on the side. The best thing to do is get a picture of the side if you can. Because I was not able to get the DOT number. Because that will when they lease a truck, it could be a one-man operation leasing a truck through a national lease account. If the DOT number should be assigned to the carrier, it's more likely. But I did get the truck number, so we're gonna try to see if we can figure out how this is all gonna get. I just want my car paid for, so I got a big, huge dent in my quarter panel, and he's scuffed. He cut up the wheels on my car, and I'm a little angry about that. You know who said that? James Lindsay. James Lindsay says a lot of things. And hold on one second. Yeah. So James Lindsay on Twitter does have a lot to say. Some of it makes sense. Some of it's off the wall. I have heard he's an atheist. I don't know enough, but that's kind of how he comes across. We have a friend of the show, Paul, the other Paul, who's been on this show, who I've been on his show. We talk pretty semi-regularly. He's hilarious. He keeps ratioing James James Lindsay's posts with pictures of Legos. Lindsay got a little ticked off about it. It's my favorite it's my favorite internet miniseries, is what I said on Twitter right now. So good for him. Yeah, Thad said better have dash cam so they can catch it all. It is. If you've got a dash cam, it really does help. I'm trying to find out because I'm pretty sure the company that owns this vehicle has telematics on their truck. So they should be able to tell me who did it, who done it. Somebody's paying for this. But he didn't stop. Didn't stop. And good luck on New Year's Eve on a rainy night on the interstate, a trooper being able to pick this guy out of pick this guy out of off the interstate. Difficult. Not trying to be stuck with the deductible and not stuck on my internet or on my insurance history either. Because if the other company pays for it, insurance company doesn't care. All they care about what they have to pay for. And I hate this. People keep hitting my cars. It's the reason I got rid of my pickup truck. It got hit 7 times. I miss that truck. I like my car, but I miss that truck. He wrote a book about being an atheist. Well, again, it's the convenience sometimes of the conservative agenda versus what is a Christian agenda. All right, now all small talk out of the way. We're happy I'm safe. I'm happy you guys are safe. I'm happy you guys are here. Yeah, that's Matt said it. Glad I'm all right. So let's get into Proverbs 26, which is the real reason we're here, is to talk about the word. Or as Vertex would say, I say, talk about. We are almost done. 26 out of 30. 26 out of 30 chapters in Proverbs completed. And then we are Ecclesiastes, Song of Solomon, Isaiah, Jeremiah, Lamentations, Ezekiel, Daniel. I was right. Good. That's our upcoming set list. But tonight, Proverbs 26, similitudes and instructions. Let's look and see. They don't split this time, Matt. I wish you'd have been here to remind me before I started the last show, because I forgot about that. I ended up doing the entirety of the second half of the Proverbs, when I probably shouldn't have. But we'll go a few at a time. Like snow in summer and like rain in harvest, so honor is not fitting for a short-sighted fool. Like the sparrow in her wandering, like the swallow in her flying, so the curse without cause does not come and alight on the undeserving. A whip for the horse, a bridle for the donkey, and a rod for the backs of fools who refuse to learn. Do not answer nor pretend to agree with the frivolous comments of a close-minded fool according to his folly. Otherwise you, even you, will be like him. Answer and correct the erroneous answer and correct the erroneous concepts of a fool according to his folly. Otherwise, he will be wise in his own eyes if he thinks you agree with him. All right, we're going to stop there and talk through them and see how much else we're going to get into. So, what do we... anybody picking up on the overarching theme of these 5 and more as we continue through? There's going to be more. This shouldn't be... the title of this chapter shouldn't be Similitudes and Instructions. The title of this chapter should be a very Mr. T like, I pity the fool. I pity the fool who doesn't take this wisdom to heart. Because that's what they're talking about. Like snow in summer and rain in harvest, so honor is not fitting for a short-sighted fool. Look, doesn't snow in summer. They don't go together. You don't want rain in the harvest season. It's not a good thing. Honor doesn't belong to fools. They don't go together. It ain't like Forrest Gump and Jenny. It ain't peas and carrots. Though some of y'all might have opinions on Jenny, too. Wait until we get into Hosea. Like the sparrow in her wandering, like the swallow in her flying. So the curse without cause does not come in a light on the undeserving. This one I didn't understand as much. Swallows. What am I missing here? Maybe I'm the foolish one, not being able to discern and decipher this. We are not. No. Different Jenny. Jenny, not Jeni. By like the sparrow in her wandering, like the swallow in her flying. So the curse without cause does not come in a light on the undeserving. Does it mean that they don't arrive? Maybe. Anyone of you guys got a bit of enlightenment y'all want to drop on me for this? Nernaeth? Matt? Y'all are usually ones to pipe up. Vertex? Well, while y'all are pondering on that, a whip for the birds don't appear when fool is near. Okay. That's all this is true because it rhymes. A whip for the horse, a bridle for the donkey, and a rod for the backs of fools who refuse to learn. So, you got a whip for your horse, you got a bridle for your donkey, and for the fools, you have a rod to beat them with, beat sense into them. This is very harsh on fools. Like, there is a lot of passages about grace, turning the other cheek, these kind of things. This isn't suffering the fool to run his mouth, though. And a lot of times, I've heard this from preachers before, and I've heard this in a sermon before, and there is weight to it. That God doesn't need us to defend Him, and they liken that because of Christ basically telling Peter when he is in Gethsemane being arrested, that he doesn't need Peter but breaking his sword out and cutting off ears and threatening other people. If Jesus needed defense in that time, he could call on the heavenly host to come down and lay waste, right? But that doesn't mean that we're not expected to defend the faith. To me, folks, there is a brand or if there's a personality type of Christians out there who are who think that any type of confrontation with unbelievers, with antagonists is icky. That we shouldn't engage with them. They don't like apologetics. They don't like arguing our points. They just they take that moment where Jesus corrects Peter. They take the idea of that idea of turning the other cheek, and they take that to heart to mean that anything, in every circumstance, that's the appropriate measure. Unless, as a stereotype, unless to these folks, they see a Christian acting in this way or doing something that they don't like, and then they try to browbeat them over it. That's a mistake. I feel that's a mistake. No, we are not. We cannot defend Jesus better than he can defend himself in any way, shape, or form. But when Jesus resurrects and when Jesus forgives Peter, what does he tell him to do? Feed his sheep. And there is more to that than just giving them instructions on how to run a church, which Paul mostly does, but creating the foundations of the church. There's more to that than giving sermons and writing letters. We have to, in a way, you're also winning hearts and minds. We're trying to convince other folks that the gospel is true. And there is more to it than arguing on the internet. There's more to it than creating YouTube videos with apologetics or whatever. It's also living those principles. And many of us can argue, and many of us are bad at it. I'm mid. I would vote myself mid. But we engage in it. And there's a lot of folks on YouTube, and there's a lot of folks on Instagram. Instagram might be the worst. I see the worst, most Reddit tier atheist takes out there. The most terrible essential oils peddling. I'm a free spirit Instagram reels. I see the worst defenses of Catholicism, Orthodoxy, and various Protestants. Like the worst of us are on there. There's a handful of good folks. But we can go out there and expose a person who is trying to denigrate the faith by spreading falsehoods or sowing distrust, discontent, all that kind of stuff by saying, no, that's actually not a smart take. And let me explain to you why. And what you'll see a lot of times, I'm not saying this applies to everything, but especially with the ex-evangelical community, the folks who did believe and now they don't anymore, and they're mad about it, it almost always circulates around the idea that they want something to be right because they believe it is right. They believe it should be right. But the Bible doesn't line up with their moral compass. So instead of adjusting their moral compasses to what Scripture says, which is part of being humbling yourself and understanding you're not going to get it all right. This is why I'm not overly critical, even though I disagree with much of what with some aspects of Catholicism or the Orthodoxy or Reformed theology. Because I might disagree with them, but I could be wrong. Maybe I'm not reading it correctly. They might be wrong too. But I think there's enough more than enough with all of those groups that that I consider them brothers and sisters in Christ. But these folks, again, going back to the ex-evangelicals, these folks are so put out by the fact that God doesn't change himself, that he doesn't change truth to reflect what they want it to be, that they stop believing. It doesn't even make sense that that would be the reason to make you stop believing. Because the whole premise of God's existence is that he agrees with you. That was your point. That's not a good place. That's not a good place to believe or disbelieve. And it's just very confusing. But it comes down to that. When you see the Mason Monagas or the New Evangelicals or Memoirs of a Heretic, all these just accounts that they're full of, self-satisfactory snark, but very low on content and actual understanding of what faith is. And these are all folks who proclaim that they either still believe in some aspect or did believe. And some of them have been pastors, which is the mind-blowing part of all that. And yet, when you see the fruits of their labors, you see the people who follow them, who associates with them, there is a high number of atheists and apostates. So especially if you think you are still a Christian and you think that your ideas, these new ideas that are really just old heresies that have been debunked for a while, for centuries, but you think what these ideas that you've come up with are right. But the only folks who are really cheering you on are people who don't believe anymore or never believed. Do you think maybe you might not be correct here? High lack of self-awareness. But they can't stop flooding social media with their ideas. Well, sorry. They can't stop flooding social media with the ideas that they read on Reddit or on somebody else's Instagram page or in the comment section somewhere. They haven't actually studied much of anything. Like Nerneyev said, it's full of cope and seethe. And we'll get into this in a second. So this is going to continue through 4 and 5. Do not answer nor pretend to agree with the frivolous comments of a closed-minded fool according to his folly. Otherwise, even you will be like him. Answer and correct the erroneous concepts of a fool according to his folly. Otherwise, he will be wise in his own eyes if he thinks you agree with him. So don't pretend to agree. You might end up becoming like him. And don't ignore what's wrong. Which is dangerous for somebody like me to read, because then I feel like that's giving me license to be a jerk on the internet. And I've got to tone my own rhetoric back a bit. Maybe rhetoric. Got to tone myself down. But it's out there. And there is a faction of Christians in every denomination who are unwilling to even endorse. I don't understand if you don't want to do it and you don't feel qualified to do that. But there's a whole, but then to go out and say people are wrong for trying to correct the record. Jeez, I just used a Clinton term. for trying to for trying to set people straight. And I think that there is definitely a happy medium in there. And I think that we definitely need to make sure that we're not letting other people try to we're we're not letting other people define who we are unchallenged. Because if you allow somebody else to build obstacles and stumbling blocks for potential new believers, and you sit there and you let them build them up and you don't try to break them down, are we not tacitly approving of those? Y'all tell me. Y'all tell me what y'all think about that. Okay, Thad. Okay, so we're gonna talk about birds for a second. Near Nance, like it's a smotening time. Matt Felty says they're kind of spazzy birds. A curse without cause won't stick. And then Thad, when I was reading this, got me on a whole different. A lot of breeds of sparrows do not migrate, but what about swallows? Is it an African or a European swallow? And which swallows are non-migratory? What is the airspeed velocity of an unladen swallow? Also, birds aren't real. Birds are drones. Man, that was such a fun meme until it became mainstream. I don't mean to be the fedora tipper here on this, but when it was obscure and people didn't understand it, it was funny. When it became mainstream, then it did stop being funny. Matt Felty says, interesting. It says answer rather than correct. Is there a dialogue where you asked on the matter? Good question. All right, so we're going to go to the ESV, Matt, which is I think your preferred translation. Let's see what they say. Answer not a fool according to his folly, lest you be like him yourself. So we're using the answer twice. Well, all right. Make this one make sense. Answer not a fool according to his folly, lest you be like him yourself. Answer a fool according to his folly, lest he be wise in his own eyes. You read the ESV, it sounds contradictory. Like one verse contradicts the verse it came right after. Whereas on the, and I want to hear what you have to say on that. But on the Amplified translation, do not answer nor pretend to agree with the frivolous comments of a close-minded fool according to his folly. And in the next one, it says, answer and correct the erroneous concepts of a fool. Nernance says, know when to hold them and know when to fold them. Okay. What this might have to do with is how you go about correcting them. Have to be wise to know when to talk and when not to, or how to talk to someone. Because this might be, do I need to be biting and sarcastic because the other guy was coming in biting and sarcastic? No, maybe I should just be factual, be studious, be intelligent in how I respond. Maybe not lay out personal attacks like the other person did. Maybe it's the way you correct them. Spock answers only. Mordred Kane, most things become not funny when they become mainstream. They kill the joke. They kill the joke, Mordred. Like Cain did to Abel. They killed it. That's a logical XYZ. No, and I don't think you get that in the ESV. I think it's confusing on the ESV side, whereas it's laid out differently. This is why I like the Amplified better, because I that context inside there, a lot of times contained in the brackets of the Amplified, I think adds more understanding for me as I'm reading through. Because it doesn't sound, I mean, it's kind of implied here, but you got to read into it a little bit. Answer a fool according to his folly, lest he be wise in his own eyes. This adds, if he thinks you agree with him. And in the previous thing, do not pretend to agree with the comments of. This might have something to do with sarcasm. Or making fun of a person in a way that they don't understand that they are being, that their idea is being mocked. I don't know. Now everybody's trying to pretend that birds aren't real. So now I'm back on the birds are real wagon. When it was just the Facebook page, that's when it was funny. When it was when it's on the backs of everybody's cars, now it's not funny. Now it's a bumper sticker. All right. He who sends a message. So we're going to continue on. Let's do another 5. What's the new joke being the moon? What's the moon now? What's the moon? He who sends a message by the hand of a fool cuts off his own feet, sabotages himself, and drinks the violence it brings on himself as a consequence. Like the legs which are useless to the lame, so is a proverb in the mouth of a fool who cannot learn from its wisdom. Like the one who absurdly binds a stone in a sling to making it impossible to throw, so is he who absurdly gives honor to a fool. Like a thorn that goes without being felt into the hand of a drunken man, so is a proverb in the mouth of a fool who remains unaffected by its wisdom. Like a careless archer who shoots wild arrows wildly and wounds everybody, so is he who hires a fool or by those who by just chance just pass by. And we're going to end on that because Proverbs 26:11, many of you already know. We'll start off with that next week. Next week. But we'll do let's go through this. So the next 5 all together. Next 5 all together.
He who sends a message by the hand of a fool cuts off his own feet, sabotages himself, and drinks the violence it brings on himself on its consequences. If you know, or if you should know, that the person you're entrusting a task with, in this example, a messenger, if you give them this task and you should know better, then you are the fool as well. You are going to sabotage yourself and you are going to deserve what happens to you as a result. Don't do it. Baseball guy in me, every time they call that reliever who gives up the home run in a big situation, I'm like, here it comes. Don't put him out there. There goes the home run. You deserve it. Coach deserves it. You know the guy can't let leaves his sliders hanging in the strike zone. He knows the guy that has a problem pinpointing his fastball, loading the bases, walking people. Don't put somebody you can't count on in a position where you need to count on them. And this was discussed last Proverbs in a different way. But this one is basically talking about the person who does it. If you do this, it's irresponsible and you deserve what happens to you. Don't just point the finger at them. Well, they didn't do what I asked them to. Understand who you entrusted it with. Like the legs, which are useless to the lame, so is a proverb in the mouth of a fool who cannot learn from its wisdom. Yeah. The lame, we'll call them disabled, right? Or different. What are we supposed to like? Is there a politically correct way to read this proverb? Like the legs, which are um, not applicable to the differently abled. No, seriously. A person who can't walk, a person who is paralyzed from the waist down, someone who doesn't have use to their legs, is that's the same as a foolish person who knows a proverb, has memorized one, they don't know what it means, and they just go saying it to people. It kind of reminds me of the bartender in Boondock Saints who keeps messing up the messing up the sayings. Wait, what? Oh, just thought about Jesus silencing the possessed person shouting declarations. Well, and healing the disabled, curing the or healing the paralyzed man, and not just, I mean, other doing multiple healings. And no, I think that does apply to 7. But yeah, if you don't understand, if you got a person who doesn't understand what they're saying and they just go off saying it everywhere, Ron Burgundy saying, "When in Rome," stuff like that. Like one who is absurdly, I'm sorry, hold on. Like one who absurdly binds a stone in a sling, making it impossible to throw. So is he who absurdly gives honor to a fool. This is a very the thought process of Solomon is funny. So if you think it's dumb to take the stone in your sling and wrap it up so it doesn't fall out when you're before you throw it, if you think that's smart, maybe you shouldn't give honor to an idiot because it's about the same level. These sound like Bible time pranks guys play on their buddies. Yeah. Yeah. Is tying the stone to the sling the same thing as um tying shoelaces together? But it was safe from dropping, yeah. Tying the stone into the sling, or securing the stone in the sling is the same effect as putting cellophane, shrink wrap on the toilet seat. Or or that 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 the sin of sin for those of us who are married, um, leaving the toilet seat up. That was a major point of contention by me and my wife when we were still dating. But she was like, you have to put the seat down." I was like, "Why? Why?" I check. She goes, "Because at night." I was like, "Yeah, when I go to the bathroom at night, I take the time to lift the seat or make sure that the seat is up before I go." I was like, "You don't," and she goes, "Yeah, but sometimes you get to sit down." I was like, "So check to make sure that the seat is down." So after afterwards, I said, "You know what? Fine. I'm gonna put the lid down. I'll put the seat down and the lid down. So everybody got to do has to do it. You're not gonna fall in the water, but you better not let go until you sit all the way down." Yeah, but to make it more, creating you're taking a weapon and making it inert by enabling this. Same thing with a fool. You are sabotaging yourself. That kind of like what we said in 6. You send a fool on an important mission, or you send a fool on an important task, you deserve what's coming to you. You put honor on a fool, you're asking for trouble. Like a thorn, like a thorn that goes without being felt into the hand of a drunken man. And you gotta why does it keep doing that? There we go. You got a thorn in your hand, but you're so inebriated, you're so drunk you can't feel it. I think this is talking about like old school thorns, not like, oh, I got a burr in my hand. Ooh, I got a little hitchhiker stuck on my wrist. Ooh. No, like this is like this a thorn the size of a nail, that kind of thorn. Um, so it's basically stabbing you. A thorn that goes without being felt in the hand of a drunken man. So is a proverb in the mouth of a fool who remains unaffected by its wisdom. Here's my favorite one of the night. OSHA sling requirements. Don't even get me started, buddy. Here's my favorite one of the night. Like a careless, and it's real. It makes sense, and it's obviously got a serious element to it. Like a careless archer who shoots arrows wildly and wounds everybody. I'm shooting arrows anywhere. Just whatever direction I feel like I want to. So is he who hires a fool, or those who by chance just pass by. This one, I think, ties in the most with 6, which is why another reason why I want to end this. I know that goes till 12, Matt, but 10, I want to wrap this all together because I think 10 ties in with the 6 where it begins. You're not just responsible for the damage that fool inflicts on you by the task you gave them, by making them putting them in, giving them responsibility. You're also responsible for what damage he does to other people. You hire a alcoholic to drive your truck for you. You're not just asking for it when he wrecks your truck because he's been drinking. You're also responsible when he wrecks your truck and hits a family of 4 in that accident, because you knew that he had a problem when you hired him. You knew he had a problem that didn't mix well with his occupation. You knew that occupation put him out in the public where he could do a lot of damage to people who had no idea he doesn't belong on the road. That's the serious side of it. And we can joke around the guys like just shooting arrows, pew, 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 hitting people. Ah, you hit me. But there's a real side to that. And I would think, and to be more glib, like Thad, the guy that went shooting with Dick Cheney, you mean? No, maybe not. But anybody who went shooting with Dick Cheney afterwards, maybe. You're responsible for especially in a leadership position, you're responsible for what you put out there and who you assign to do it. You're not just responsible for yourself. You're responsible for everything you put that person in charge of. And it's one thing if you don't know. But part of it is paying attention to make sure you do to do your best to ensure that you do know. People are going to make mistakes. Fools aren't the only people out there making mistakes and having accidents and screwing things up. But when you know that person's likely to do it, where do you think God is assigning some of that blame? Yeah. All right, we're gonna wrap up for tonight. That's a nice 10 proverb night. Go through there. Pretty funny. Emmanuel, we just talked about truck drivers. Not truck drivers like you, though, Emmanuel. Hey, you missed it at the beginning. I had one of your comrades in arms almost run me off the road, give me an accident. You know I'll follow a robot chicken link. Emmanuel, I was just telling the story earlier. I was driving home, nighttime, rain, I-95 south. Okay, so a big interstate. We're not anywhere near a junction with a left-handed off ramp. So I'm driving down middle, and there is a tractor trailer in the far left lane, not passing anybody either. He's sitting in that lane. So I'm going to pass him, and he turns as I'm passing his the passenger side of his passenger side front fender. He puts a signal on. So I think he's just signaling anybody behind me that after I pass him, he's about to change lanes. But then he starts to change lanes while I'm still there. So I am laying on the horn to get him to go back over. I can't move into the next lane yet. And he actually clips my side. He actually hits the side of my, or I should do this. He came in and knocked me, not sideways, obviously. I lost control, and that would have been bad. And then he didn't stop. He kept driving. So all I was able to do, I flashed my lights, I honked my horn, I tried to get his attention. I can see where maybe he didn't realize he hit me, but there was a noise. But he didn't pull over, so I called the cops. I got the plate number of the trailer, which doesn't really do me much good. I got the truck number and the company that he was leasing the truck from, but I didn't get the DOT number. It was kind of dumb on my part, but whatever. I should have been thinking more clearly about that, but called 911, put a report in with the state trooper, and I didn't think they were gonna catch him, and they haven't gotten back with me yet, but I'm giving everybody a couple of days. I'm giving everybody the rest of the week and the weekend to figure things out. Then Monday it changes. Yeah, I'm glad I'm okay. Yeah, it's just angry that my quarter panel is cracked and my wheels are cut up, and the guy didn't pull over. Dude, don't like, I get the headsets, right? Because to me the headsets are brilliant, right? But it should be one ear over and free, because you need to be able to talk to dispatch. You need to be able to communicate. Am I seeing something to let you know that my route needs to change? Are you telling me that my route needs to change? So you're not fiddling over. It's, even with the CB, right? I don't even know how many trucks have the CBs anymore, but there's stuff that you need to be able to communicate. And so I like the headset, and it keeps your eyes on the road. It keeps you having to fiddle with stuff, and maybe you can listen to music when you're not communicating with. But you can hear double earphones. I would. You're driving a tractor trailer, dude. Everything is, and I'm not talking. I'm not trying to lecture Emmanuel. I know he regularly appreciates this. But to anybody out there driving about that, everything you do with a truck that big is a safety issue. So you have to be conscious that everything you do with that truck, you are bigger than everybody else on the road except for other truck drivers. nothing is bigger than you on the road. You're the biggest thing. So just irritates me. I don't, it's the not stopping that irritates me the most. Because I have a feeling he knows what he did. Yeah, 30,000 pounds behind you. And that was just a van trailer. You know, thank goodness it wasn't something else. But you know, he didn't lose control. I almost lost control. But and then also another reason why I hate those spiky lug nuts that they put on the front lugs. I don't understand what good that's going to do. Yeah. Because he's always going to have denied, well, I didn't know I hit the person. It was dark. It was raining. I didn't see him. I get it looks metal, but, you know, especially in a case like that, you can do more damage. The apocalypse, Mad Max time if needed. By the way, funny you should say that. I picked that game up last month. I hadn't played it in a while, and I never beat it because I just got sidetracked with something else. Beat it last night. I was happy, except for I couldn't get the last achievement. Couldn't get the last achievement because the servers have closed, and you had to have a server connection to get that achievement. So, like one task, like I had all the tasks except for that one and a handful of others, and then I realized I was never going to get that task. I was like, well, I'm not doing the rest. Anyway, all right, so do Emmanuel Osorio. Hey, man, be safe on the road because it's not just me and others out there. I know you spend more time on the road than pretty much anybody else. You guys, that's your office, that's your industry. So you're out there with those knuckleheads too. It's a profession that there are many professionals in, but a lot of amateurs in as well. So, Emmanuel, stay safe out there. Keep your head on a swivel. Thad, Nunaeth, Mr. Felty. Mordred Kane first in the chat. Notre Dame wasn't a fluke. How dare you? Veritax. I think that's the group tonight. Yep, that's the group tonight. Hey guys, thanks for being with me for the first stream of 2025. Hope you guys have a great new year. And I'm appreciative. I'm appreciative of what you guys contributed in the past year. I'm looking forward to what y'all have to say this coming year. And for the rest of the time, I'm streaming. Right. I'm happy to have you guys along for the ride with me. And yeah, let's do it and have a good time. For everybody who's listening and not commenting, hey, New Year's resolution. I'm gonna comment on Stuart's stream. No, I'm just kidding. I'm just glad if you guys don't want to comment, that's fine. Just as long as you understand you have an open invitation. I'm just happy you guys are tuning in and enjoying what you're getting out of this. We can leave it at that. And for everybody who is tuning in and catching this on the back end on replay, sorry I missed you, but thank you for watching. I hope to catch you live sometime soon. Everybody have a good night, good weekend. Be safe, be relaxed, have a relaxing weekend. Go to church, and God bless.